What better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than with a review of a novel that portrays a dystopian book-burning society? And now you know why I'm single. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Most people have at least heard of it. The book has many themes. Of course, the theme that most people know of is the whole book burning thing. Fahrenheit 451 presents us with a futuristic society where books are forbidden. The protagonist of this novel, Guy Montag, is a fireman. But in this futuristic society, houses are fireproof, and so firemen don't put out fires, they in fact start fires. If there is a report of a house that is keeping books, they go to that house, they burn the books, and they burn the house. That is what most people know about Fahrenheit 451. But if we were to say that the sole theme of this book is book burning is bad, that would take away a lot of the book's message. One of the really important aspects of this book, and really of any dystopian novel, is how that society came to be in the first place. Ray Bradbury wrote this book in the late 40s, early 50s. The late 40s and early 50s were all about the American dream of finding comfort and success and affluence. And so basically we see a world where the whole turmoil of the 60s never happened, and that the pseudo-happiness of the 50s continued on into present day. So what happens when that happens? Well, you've got improvements in the radio and the television media. People are seeking faster, more accessible information. They're seeking ways to make their lives more comfortable and happy. And so basically this becomes a society of cheap thrills. Depth is frowned upon. Why? Because depth makes certain people uncomfortable. Anything that could conceivably cause pain or discomfort is done away with. And books fall right into that category. Because books in this society are people's way of telling us you're not smart enough. And so yes, in this society books are burned, but books are first ignored. And eventually the government just catches up and forbids books altogether. But this is only after the people have already accepted that books should be ignored. And so now, what is the driving force behind this dystopian society? In a lot of literature, dystopian societies come about because people are concerned about their safety. That is most certainly not the case with this book. There are hints of a war looming outside of this city, but nobody really seems to care. There is no longer a maximum speed limit, there is only a minimum speed limit. You can be arrested for driving under 55 miles an hour, but not for driving over 55 miles an hour. At the beginning of the novel, Montag's wife, Millie, overdoses on sleeping pills. And this happens because Montag's wife, thanks to this society, is such a complete dingbat that she keeps taking the sleeping pills because she forgets that she has already taken them. And for the people that come to cure her, to bring her back, it's just another day at the office for them. So safety is obviously not a concern. The driving force behind this society is happiness. At the beginning of the novel, Montag, who loves his job as a fireman, meets the 17-year-old girl named Clarice. Clarice is an oddity in this society. She goes on walks, she enjoys having deep conversations with people, and this just isn't done in this society. And she asks Montag a question at the very beginning of the novel. That question is, are you happy? And Montag begins to realize during the course of the novel that no, he's not happy, even though he's supposed to be. That's the whole point of living in this society. Be happy. But he's not, because he senses something is missing, and we find out increasingly throughout the novel that no one else is happy either. They're just acting like they are. By far one of the most fascinating characters in Fahrenheit 451 is Police Chief Beatty. He is Montag's boss, his friend, his mentor, and he kind of represents the government regulation about burning books. And yet, for all that he represents that idea that we must burn books, he is a remarkably well-read man. He seems more intelligent than the others, more enlightened than the others, and he even quotes literature throughout the novel. There's a scene that Ray Bradbury wrote after the publication of this novel between Montag and Beatty, and it's in an afterword in this particular edition of the novel. In this scene, Beatty brings Montag to his apartment, and we find out that Beatty's apartment is full of books, but he has not read any of them. The crime in this society is not owning books, but reading them, and so Beatty is allowed to keep his books as long as he never cracks one open and actually reads it. As the scene goes on, we learn that Beatty was at one time an avid reader. But then he found out that life is full of pain and woe and disappointment, and that all the reading in the world is not going to change that. And so he turned his back on books, and when the burning of libraries first started, he became a fireman and he joined them. Beatty represents the paradox of the society itself. He has come to believe that he does not need books in order to find satisfaction, but some part of him inside knows that this is not true. The book lover Beatty is still in there and still fighting, and it is making Beatty absolutely miserable. Possibly one of my favorite quotes in the entire book is this: "If you hide your ignorance, no one will hit you, and you'll never learn." Beatty and this dystopian society have been hiding their ignorance. They don't believe they need these books. They believe that they know everything that they need to know. They don't want to admit that there are some things they don't know because that will ultimately make them unhappy, and this is unacceptable in this new society. And so by hiding that ignorance, by hiding the fact that there are things that they don't know, they are ensuring that nobody is going to hit them. They are keeping themselves from being hurt, but at the same time, they're not learning. In a way, Fahrenheit 451 is a society of Decepticons, people who believe that we should just be happy, that vapidness should be a way of life. And it doesn't end happily. Dystopian novels hardly ever do. But it's an excellent novel. Everybody who believes in the power of books and education should definitely read this. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And next up on the favorites list, another well-known dystopian novel, 1984 by George Orwell. Happy Singles Awareness Day, everybody. See you later. Chocolate Pez. They have chocolate Pez! How awesome is this?